101 Greatest Inspirational Quotes of All Time. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Aristotle. There is one quality that one must possess to win, and that is definiteness of purpose, the knowledge of what one wants, and a burning desire to possess it. Napoleon Hill. We judge ourselves by what we feel capable of doing, while others judge us by what we have already done. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Some men go through life absolutely miserable because, despite the most enormous achievement, they just didn't do one thing, like the architect who didn't build St. Paul's. I didn't quite build St. Paul's, but I stood on more mountaintops than possibly I deserved. Lord Thornycroft. Don't let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do. John Wooden. The great pleasure in life is doing what people say you cannot do. Walter Bagehot. The three great essentials to achieving anything worthwhile are, first, hard work, second, stick-to-itiveness, and third, common sense. Thomas Edison. Most of us can learn to live in perfect comfort on higher levels of power. Everyone knows that on any given day there are energies slumbering in him which the incitements of that day do not call forth. Compared with what we ought to be, we are only half awake. It is evident that our organism has stored up reserves of energy that are ordinarily not called upon, deeper and deeper strata of explosible material, ready for use by anyone who probes so deep. The human individual usually lives far within his limits. William James. Your circumstances may be uncongenial, but they shall not remain so if you only perceive an ideal and strive to reach it. You cannot travel within and stand still without. James Allen. People become really quite remarkable when they start thinking that they can do things. When they believe in themselves, they have the first secret of success. Norman Vincent Peale. Act as if you have already achieved your goal and it is yours. Drive. Robert Anthony. People are always blaming their circumstances for what they are. I don't believe in circumstances. The people who get on in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, make them. George Bernard Shaw. We have to understand that the world can only be grasped by action, not by contemplation. The hand is more important than the eye. The hand is the cutting edge of the mind. Jacob Bronowski. Activity and sadness are incompatible. Christian Bovee. Begin doing what you want to do now. We are not living in eternity. We have only this moment, sparkling like a star in our hand and melting like a snowflake. Marie Bion Ray. You are what you think about all day long. Drive. Robert Schuller. When you're through changing, you're through. Bruce Barton. Don't bother just to be better than your contemporaries or predecessors. Try to be better than yourself. William Faulkner. Somehow I can't believe that there are any heights that can't be scaled by a man who knows the secrets of making dreams come true. This special secret: curiosity, confidence, courage, and constancy, and the greatest of all is confidence. When you believe in a thing, believe in it all the way, implicitly and unquestionable. Walt Disney. Without self-confidence we are as babes in the cradles. And how can we generate this imponderable quality, which is yet so invaluable, most quickly? By thinking that other people are inferior to oneself. Virginia Woolf. You become what you think about. Earl Nightingale. Start by doing what's necessary, then do what's possible, and suddenly you are doing the impossible. St. Francis of Assisi. Optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without hope and confidence. Helen Keller. The reality of life is that your perceptions, right or wrong, influence everything else you do. When you get a proper perspective of your perceptions, you may be surprised how many other things fall into place. Roger Bierkman. All growth is a leap in the dark, a spontaneous unpremeditated act without benefit of experience. Henry Miller. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you have imagined. Henry David Thoreau. Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. Calvin Coolidge. Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds you plant. Robert Louis Stevenson. What helps luck is a habit of watching for opportunities, of having a patient, but restless mind, of sacrificing one's ease or vanity, of uniting a love of detail to foresight, and of passing through hard times bravely and cheerfully. Charles Victor Cherbuliez. Introspection is self-improvement, and therefore introspection is self-centeredness. Awareness is not self-improvement. On the contrary, it is the ending of the self, of the I, with all its peculiar idiosyncrasies, memories, demands, and pursuits. In introspection there is identification and condemnation. In awareness there is no condemnation or identification, therefore, there is no self-improvement. There is a vast difference between the two. Jiddu Krishnamurti. The only thing that stands between a man and what he wants from life is often merely the will to try it and the faith to believe that it is possible. Richard M. DeVos. It's good to have money and the things money can buy, but it's good, too, to check up once in a while and make sure that you haven't lost the things money can't buy. George Horace Lorimer. With one day's reading a man may have the key in his hands. Ezra Pound. It takes real courage to do battle in the unspectacular task. We always listen for the applause of our co-workers. He is courageous who plods on, unlettered and unknown. In the last analysis it is this courage, developing between man and his limitations, that brings success. Alice Foote McDougall. You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming genuinely interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. Dale Carnegie. Keep away from small people who try to belittle your ambitions. Small people always do that, but the really great make you feel that you, too, can become great. Mark Twain. Too often we underestimate the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have the potential to turn a life around. Leo Buscaglia. Risk. Risk anything. Care no more for the opinion of others, for those voices. Do the hardest thing on earth for you. Act for yourself. Face the truth. Catherine Mansfield. To dream magnificently is not a gift given to all men, and even for those who possess it, it runs a strong risk of being progressively diminished by the ever-growing dissipation of modern life and by the restlessness engendered by material progress. The ability to dream is a divine and mysterious ability, because it is through dreams that man communicates with the shadowy world which surrounds him. But this power needs solitude to develop freely. The more one concentrates, the more one is likely to dream fully, deeply. Charles Baudelaire. We must walk consciously only part way toward our goal and then leap in the dark to our success. Henry David Thoreau. Our attitudes control our lives. Attitudes are a secret power working 24 hours a day, for good or bad. It is of paramount importance that we know how to harness and control this great force. Tom Blandy. Don't measure yourself by what you have accomplished, but by what you should have accomplished with your ability. John Wooden. Let our advance worrying become advance thinking and planning. Winston Churchill. The question of place and climate is most closely related to the question of nutrition. Nobody is free to live everywhere, and whoever has to solve great problems that challenge all his strength actually has a very restricted choice in this matter. The influence of climate on our metabolism, Its retardation, its acceleration, goes so far that a mistaken choice of place and climate can not only estrange a man from his task but can actually keep it from him. He never gets to see it. Friedrich Nietzsche. Man's greatest actions are performed in minor struggles. Life, misfortune, isolation, abandonment, and poverty are battlefields which have their heroes, obscure heroes who are at times greater than illustrious heroes. Victor Hugo. There is a real magic in enthusiasm. It spells the difference between mediocrity and accomplishment. It gives warmth and good feeling to all your personal relationships. Norman Vincent Peale. If you have the courage to begin, you have the courage to succeed. David Viscott. I don't measure a man's success by how high he climbs but how high he bounces when he hits bottom. General. George Patton. I am a slow walker, but I never walk backwards. Abraham Lincoln. Just don't give up trying to do what you really want to do. Where there is love and inspiration, I don't think you can go wrong. Ella Fitzgerald. The problem with most failing businesses is not that their owners don't know enough about finance, marketing, management, and operations. They don't, but those things are easy enough to learn, but that they spend their time and energy defending what they think they know. My experience has shown me that the people who are exceptionally good in business aren't so because of what they know but because of their insatiable need to know more. Michael Gerber. Shun idleness. It is a rust that attaches itself to the most brilliant of metals. Voltaire. Our minds can shape the way a thing will be because we act according to our expectations. Federico Fellini. Personal change, growth, development, identity formation. These tasks that once were thought to belong to childhood and adolescence alone now are recognized as part of adult life as well. Gone is the belief that adulthood is, or ought to be, a time of internal peace and comfort, that growing pains belong only to the young. Gone the belief that these are marker events, a job, a mate, a child through which we will pass into a life of relative ease. Lillian Breslow Rubin. Experience is not what happens to a man, it is what a man does with what happens to him. Aldous Huxley. The abundant life does not come to those who have had a lot of obstacles removed from their path by others. It develops from within and is rooted in strong mental and moral fiber. William Mather Lewis. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Lao Tzu. Discovery consists in seeing what everybody has seen and thinking what nobody has thought. Albert von Szent-Györgyi. I just keep going up there and keep swinging at them. If I strike out 2 or 3 times in a game or fail to get a hit for a week, why should I worry? Let the pitchers worry, they're the guys who are gonna suffer later on. Babe Ruth. Tenderness and kindness are not signs of weakness and despair, but manifestations of strength and resolutions. Khalil Gibran. The secret to productive goal setting is in establishing clearly defined goals, writing them down and then focusing on them several times a day with words, pictures, and emotions as if we've already achieved them. Dennis Waitley. Take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. Martin Luther King, Jr. Forget mistakes. Forget failure. Forget everything except what you're going to do now and do it. Today is your lucky day. Will Durant. The new frontier of which I speak is not a set of promises, it is a set of challenges. It sums up not what I intend to offer the American people, but what I intend to ask of them. It appeals to their pride, not their pocketbook. It holds out the promise of more sacrifice instead of more security. John F. Kennedy. One must marry one's feelings to one's beliefs and ideas. That is probably the only way to achieve a measure of harmony in one's life. The ladder of success is never crowded at the top. Napoleon Hill. What keeps so many people back is simply unwillingness to pay the price, to make the exertion, the effort to sacrifice their ease and comfort. Orison Swett Martin. Sometimes we stare so long at a door that is closing, that we see too late the one that is open. Alexander Graham Bell. Imagination rules the world. Napoleon Bonaparte. There is a power under your control that is greater than poverty, greater than the lack of education, greater than all your fears and superstitions combined. It is the power to take possession of your own mind and direct it to whatever ends you may desire. Andrew Carnegie. Dreams come true. Without that possibility, nature would not incite us to have them. John Updike. Let me not pray to be sheltered from dangers, but to be fearless in facing them. Let me not beg for the stilling of my pain, but for the heart to conquer it. Rabindranath Tagore. 20 years from now you will be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the ones you did do. So throw off the bowlines. Sail away from the safe harbor. Catch the trade winds in your sails. Explore. Dream. Discover. Mark Twain. Adversity has the effect of eliciting talents which, in prosperous circumstances, would have lain dormant. Horace. We must remember the past, define the future, and challenge the present wherever and however we can. It will take the rest of our lives even to begin. But then, what else have we to do? Jane O'Reilly. Commitment, by its nature, frees us from ourselves and, while it stands us in opposition to some, it joins us with others similarly committed. Commitment moves us from the mirror trap of the self-absorbed with the self to the freedom of a community of shared values. Michael Lewis. Curiosity is, in great and generous minds, the first passion and the last. Samuel Johnson. Destiny is not a matter of chance, it is a matter of choice. It is not a thing to be waited for, it is a thing to be achieved. William Jennings Bryan. In things pertaining to enthusiasm, no man is sane who does not know how to be insane on proper occasions. Henry Ward Beecher. It is a funny thing about life, if you refuse to accept anything but the best, you very often get it. William Somerset Maugham. We know nothing about motivation. All we can do is write books about it. Peter F. Drucker. The indispensable first step to getting the things you want out of life is this: decide what you want. Ben Stein. One's self-image is very important because if that's in good shape, then you can do anything, or practically anything. Sir John Gielgud. I want to remind you that success in life is based on hard slogging. There will be periods when discouragement is great and upsetting, and the antidote for this is calmness and fortitude and a modest yet firm belief in your competence. Be sure that your priorities are in order so that you can proceed in a logical manner, and be ever mindful that nothing will take the place of persistence. Walter Annenberg. My mother drew a distinction between achievement and success. She said that achievement is the knowledge that you have studied and worked hard and done the best that is within you. Success is being praised by others. That is nice but not as important or satisfying. Always aim for achievement and forget about success. Helen Hayes. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. Ralph Waldo Emerson. I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times, I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed. Michael Jordan. To travel hopefully is a better thing than to arrive, and the true success is to labor. Robert Louis Stevenson. The thinking person has the strange characteristic to like to create a fantasy in the place of the unsolved problem, a fantasy that stays with the person even when the problem has been solved and truth made its appearance. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. You are searching for the magic key that will unlock the door to the source of power, and yet you have the key in your own hands, and you may use it the moment you learn to control your thoughts. Napoleon Hill. Beauty, truth, friendship, love, creation, these are the great values of life. We can't prove them, or explain them, yet they are the most stable things in our lives. Jesse Herman Holmes. Visualize this thing you want. See it, feel it, believe in it. Make your mental blueprint and begin. Robert Collier. If opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. Milton Berle. An inexhaustible good nature is one of the most precious gifts of heaven, spreading itself like oil over the troubled sea of thought, and keeping the mind smooth and equable in the roughest weather. Washington Irving. Seek out that particular mental attribute which makes you feel most deeply and vitally alive, along with which comes the inner voice which says, "This is the real me," and when you have found that attitude, follow it. William James. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. Napoleon Hill. What we think, or what we know, or what we believe, is in the end, of little consequence. The only thing of consequence is what we do. John Ruskin. If you want to make life easy, make it hard. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Happiness lies in the joy of achievement and the thrill of creative effort. Franklin D. Roosevelt. Success is a consequence and must not be a goal. Gustave Flaubert. You wake up in the morning, and lo, your purse is magically filled with 24 hours of the unmanufactured tissue of the universe of your life. It is yours. It is the most precious of possessions. No one can take it from you. It is unstealable. And no one receives either more or less than you receive. Arnold Bennett. The first step to becoming is to will it. Mother Teresa.